Hey, you guys. Hey. Okay, so I need to share this prophetic dream with you guys. When I was posting the last one that I reshared called Promotion, I heard God bringing this dream up. This one is called Things Are About to Escalate. Do you know who you are? Okay. This one is called Things Are About to Escalate. Do you know who you are? And I originally shared this dream on July the 16th of 2022. This one wasn't on my list, but I literally heard him bringing this one up. I literally heard him saying this title, so I needed to share it. God oftentimes shows me the order of things, and in this dream, this was one of the first couple of dreams he had me share at first. I think I only shared it on my YouTube channel before, but oftentimes he shows me the order of things, not just for myself, but for other people as well who have been on the same journey as I've been. So I'm going to let you guys listen to the dream, and then I'll come back and add some of the things that he showed me from it as well. Okay? All right, here's the dream. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, so I hope everybody's been doing okay. I hope y'all been doing good. I just want to share a prophetic dream with you guys. It's a little lengthy, so I'm going to jump right in there, okay? So, this dream, God actually gave me on May the 14th. He gave me this dream on May the 14th, but he had me wait to share it. So, but now he just told me it was okay to share it now. So, anyways, getting right in there, the title he gave me for this dream is, and I'm looking at my notebook, y'all, if y'all see me looking down. So the title of this dream he gave me is Things Are About to Escalate. Do you know who you are? And so when he broke this dream down for me, I was like, okay, wow. So it's four sections in this dream. This dream is broken off into four sections. So I'm gonna tell you what happened in each section, and then explain to you what God showed me in each section. Okay. So in the first section of the dream, I'm standing outside, in the street, but kind of close to the sidewalk on the right side of the street. And I'm staring at this house. And at this particular house, I know I left something there that I need to pick up. The last time I was there, I guess, I don't know, I left something at this house and I need to get it. And I'm staring at this house and I'm thinking, I'm about to go get what I left over there. And then it hits me, I check my time, and it's like, it's too early. It's too early for me to go get what I left over there. It would be rude of me to knock on their door that early in the morning, right? This is what I'm thinking in the dream. So I check my time. It's way too early in the morning to be knocking on somebody's door. And so I said, okay, well, it's other things I need to go take care of. So I'll go take care of those things first and, let a couple hours go by, and then I'll come back and go knock on their door and get that item I left. By then enough time would have went by and I won't be being rude by knocking on their door way too early, right? So anyways, that's the first section of this dream. Now, what God showed me here was the place that I wanted to go retrieve something I left from. He showed me that was the enemy, okay? And how he showed me that was the enemy, I'm gonna try to go through this real quick. How he showed me that was the enemy's place was because as I approached the house and I was staring at it, I was standing on the, how you have your neighborhoods, you have your street, you got houses over here, houses over there. I was standing near the right side, looking at the left side, and I couldn't even tell you the name of the person's house I left my item at. I couldn't even tell you their name. That was the crazy part. But when I went in a dream, I said, oh, that's Diane's house. That's where Diane lives. I referred to the house on the right side. I knew the person who lived in the house on the right side. And a funny thing, though, is I refer to them as Diane. I never call that person that name. I never call them by their first name. I always call them by Mrs. and their last name. When I see them, I say, hey, Miss, and her last name. I always refer to her by her last name. I have never a day in my life called her by her first name. So that stood out to me. And I was like, Dad, why am I calling her that in a dream? I don't, that's not what I call her when I see her. And so that made me look up her name, and her name means divine. It means heavenly. So that's how God showed me that the house that I needed to retrieve something from was the enemy's, because it was directly across from the divine. Very directly across. God is amazing. And he also did me a favor, which I greatly appreciated, because this particular woman, this particular lady, she had just passed. Right before I had this dream, she had just passed about a couple of weeks before. And it was a little hard for me because, you know, I knew her growing up, and I was, you know, sad about it. And God knew how I felt about it. But then I think I was really bothered because I couldn't go to her funeral. And God knew I was really disappointed that I couldn't go to her funeral, because I really wanted to go and I wasn't able to. And so in that part, he showed me that she was with him too. So that was just, God is amazing. I love when he does stuff like that. So he showed me that she was with him. She was fine. And so anyways, that was the first scene of the dream, right? All right, so then we're leaving. And well, I'm leaving. I'm walking off to go get some other things done. And I'm going to come back and get my stuff later because it's too early to knock on their door and take my stuff. So as I'm leaving, I see myself walking. I'm walking down the road away from the house. And somebody that I knew that I haven't seen in a minute, he came out of nowhere, and he wanted to go with me. So he offered to go with me to go take care of the things I needed to do. And I'm like, okay, cool. So then it's just me and him walking off down the street. Then the dream changes, right? And it jumps. And the next scene of the dream, all of a sudden, I'm facing 3 escalators, right? And I guess some way, somehow, I did what I was supposed to do in the place that I was now standing in. And now it was time for me to go, go back, home. And so I'm standing in front of 3 escalators, and I just have a knowing that all 3 escalators come up, but only one of them goes down, right? And there's no other way to exit the place that I'm in. The only exit is down. There's nothing higher than it. There's no other place to exit it but to go down. So, and like I said, it's 3 escalators. All 3 come up. Only one goes down. That's the middle one. And so I know this. So I got whatever I came there for, and the guy came with me, the one who met me in the first scene. He's with me. And now we're about to leave. So we go to the middle escalator because that's the only one that goes down. And before we can get on there, 3 people, like every time I try to get on the escalator, somebody's coming up it, because this was the unique thing about this middle escalator. Like I said, all 3 comes up, only one goes down, but the middle one will go both ways. And so every time I was trying to get on the escalator, somebody was coming off of it. So 3 people got off the escalator before I finally just jumped on there for us to leave, right? And God has been really dealing with me with 3s. He's been showing me 3s and 2s a lot in my dream, a lot. And so, but for me, like at the 3rd person, I'm like, I'm getting on here, because people weren't gonna stop coming up. People were consistently coming up that escalator. So I had to take my position for me to get on there, right? That's important. I had to take my position. They weren't gonna wait for me. I had to take it. And so, anyways, so I take my position on the escalator. Y'all, I am low-key nervous when it comes to escalators. Escalators low-key scare me. Like I get really still, like, oh God, I don't know if I've seen too many cartoons growing up or what, but escalators low-key make me nervous. And so I'm on the escalator, and I see that I have a bike. I'm leaving the place I was in carrying a bike, and it's kind of heavy, and I'm already nervous because I'm on the escalator. And the guy who's with me, he's like, let me carry the bike. He wants to carry the bike for me. And because of how I'm wired, and because Jesus is working on me, I'm used to doing things for myself a lot. I'm used to it's hard for me to ask for help. And so I'm used to carrying the load myself a lot. I'm used to, I got it. So I'm used to doing that a lot for myself. And so the Holy Spirit had to tell me, let him carry it. Because I was going to tell him, no, I got it. And the Holy Spirit told me, let him carry it. So I let the guy carry the bike. I mean, he's a man. He's stronger than me. So anyways, he's carrying the bike for me. And that makes it a lot more easier. All right. And in a dream, I'm going down the escalator. And then the dream shifts. I see us going down the escalator. Now, okay, you guys, I had to fix my video. Now, to explain the second scene of the dream. On the second scene of the dream, what God showed me was the place I went to was him. I was with him, and I didn't leave empty-handed. I left with a bike. The bike was my identity. Okay? The bike was my identity, but I got it from God. God was the only one who could have given it to me, right? Another big part of this dream, big part of this little scene right here, because I was like, why him? Why did you choose him to go with me? And the guy's name is Aaron, right? And so I looked up his name too, because, God is really doing something with the names lately. And I didn't used to look up the names in dreams until now. But so I looked up his name too, and his name means strong. It means mountain of strength, right? His name is Aaron. And it also means teacher. So God showed me that he didn't send me alone. He sent me with a mountain of strength, and he sent me with a teacher. Oh, God. And then he also put in my spirit, he reminded me of Aaron that went with Moses as his helper, right? So what he reminded me of also in my natural life, Lord, my hair's sticking up. What he also reminded me of was how what he's been doing with me naturally, he's been doing with a lot of y'all too. And like the instructions he's giving you and everything that you're facing in the spiritual warfare, he never sent you alone. Okay? You have strength with you. You have a mountain of strength. You have a teacher that he sent with you. You have an aid. You have a help. You just have to allow them to help you. God. You have to allow them to help you. Okay? Something he pointed out to me when, like I said, I had to wait for 3 people to pass to get off the escalator before I took my position. But I had to take my position. They weren't going to stop coming up that escalator to let me go. I had to take my position. People were constantly coming up. They were going up to God. They were going up to God. I had to take my position on an escalator. God says you have to take your identity. It is yours. It belongs to you. But he can't make you walk into it. He can't make you believe in who he created you to be. He's told you who you are. What you have to do is allow him to do the work and processing you to cleanse and remove and declutter and just everything that people have spoke over you, how they treated you, things they've actually said to you, they are lies. And God has been trying to show you those who lied to you. He separated you from those who lied to you about your identity, about your self-worth and value, about who you are. He has separated you from them intentionally so he could show you who you are, who he created you to be. Because every time he tries to speak life into you, and every time he tries to show you, daughter, this is who you are. Son, this is who I made you to be. Every single time he tries to show you that, you had those people around you that were poking holes into you, that were telling you you were something else. Okay, so a lot of people, when he separated you from people, he did it because he's trying to show you who you are. Some of y'all have asked him, who am I? I don't even know who I am. Some of you have asked him who you are and for your purpose, and what you're supposed to do while you're here. In this moment, this is what God was doing. When I left with my identity in hand. And sometimes that can seem overwhelming. So God showed me he didn't expect me to carry it on my own. The Holy Spirit had to tell me to let that man carry that bike for you. Why are you trying to carry that bike by yourself? He said, let that man carry that bike. So I got my identity from God. First and foremost, your identity comes from God, not from man. I retrieved my identity from God, and I didn't even have to carry it all by myself. Jesus. All right, that was just a big part, y'all. You're going to get your identity from God, and he does not expect you to carry it by yourself. He doesn't expect you to carry all that by yourself, okay? He sent me up there with a mountain of strength, with a teacher. God. Aaron means mountain of strength and teacher. And he referred to Moses' help in the Bible as, Aaron is Moses' help too. So he sent you with a teacher. He's going to teach you and help you develop. If he showed you something that seems greater than you, and you're like, how do I become that? He's going to show you. God has been doing some deep cleansing, like cleanses with me, like helping me look back at things. You have to know when it's God and when it's the enemy. God has actually had me dig up some painful moments in my life. And I'm like, no, that's the enemy wanting me to think about that. But no, God wanted me to dig it up because I never dealt with it. And in those moments in my life, told me things about myself, made me think things about myself that weren't true. So he wanted me to dig those moments up so we could deal with it. And some of those moments might cause you to cry again, and you might not want to think about it, and you might not want to feel it, and you might not want to feel, because it's like experiencing all over again. But the only reason God may be leading you to dig it up, so you can deal with it, get rid of it, and remove the lie that it implanted in you, telling you that you were this, that you deserved that, and you didn't. Okay? So, I'm trying not to make this video too long, you guys, but that part was so big. It was so big, right? So I got my identity from God, and I had help carrying it. You're going to find your identity through God. He's going to teach you. He's going to teach you. Don't even worry. He's going to teach you, and just go with it. Just go with it and pray and ask for his help and guidance. But he said in his dream, he already sent you with help. He's there. You just have to, first of all, you got to take your identity. I had to take my place on that escalator. I had to take my identity, right? The bike was with, the bike, God gave it to me, but I had to take my place. It's yours. It's yours. You just got to believe it, and you got to take it and accept it. Okay, so that's the part he showed me on that scene of the dream, y'all. I'm back looking at my notes. Okay, so the next scene of the dream, like we're going through the escalator, then next scene of the dream. Now the guy that I'm with, we're in his garage. And remember, he was carrying my bike for me. Now I just see a car. Oh man, I just see a car, and he's like kind of doing some work on the car, right? So it's gonna grow. Oh, you're gonna grow. You're gonna grow. Okay, but anyway, so now he's working on the car, and I'm thinking we have to wait a little bit longer because it's still too early to get my items. So I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna wait inside. So I go to his door from his garage leading to his house, and I just walk right in there, right? And he's like, oh no, this is not gonna take long. And so he says, we're gonna just wait in the garage. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I close this door, and then I'm low-key embarrassed because I just walk right in his house. That's his house, and I just walk right in. And so I can hear people's thoughts in my dream, right? A lot of times, most times, I can hear their thoughts and feel their feelings. And so he's thinking to himself, how did she even open my door? And I was like, because, okay, sometimes in my dreams I have powers, right? Like sometimes in my dreams I have powers, and I was like, oh God, I refer to it as magic. I said, did I use my powers to get in his door? And I was like, please don't ask me how I opened your door. Please don't ask me how I opened your door. So that's what I'm thinking. And so he doesn't ask. He just like, how did she get in my door? And then he just lets the thought go away, right? And then he goes back to working on the car, and I'm like, woo. And so, okay, that was that part of the scene of the dream, right? Now God showed it to me like this. God is going to be continually working on you. So the first vehicle I had was a bike, and I got it from him. And he sent me off with help and with a teacher, right? And a continual guide, right? That was helping me then he was working on a car, right? It grew. It became something else, right? And then I walked right into this man's house with no key. Now, I've had dreams where I had a key and I saw myself unlock the door. This is how it happened. Okay, so you know how when you go to a door, like your front door, you have to take out your key, then unlock it on the outside. But on the inside, say you want to unlock your door from the inside, you just turn the knob. You don't need a key. You just turn the knob, right? And it unlocks. For me, and it's part of the dream, all doors they didn't have a keyhole on the outside. They had a knob. So I didn't need a key to open his door. I just turned the knob. The outside of his door, where you would normally see a keyhole, there was a knob, just a knob. So I just turned his knob and went in his door like it was nothing. And that's how I got in. But I realized in a dream, it didn't appear like that, to other people, just to me. And what God said is open door season. Oh God, what God showed me in this part of the dream was it's going to be open door season. Doors will be open for you easily. Easily. This man trying to figure out how I got in his house. I didn't need a key. All I had to do was turn the knob and I'm in there. All doors to me had knobs. They didn't have keyholes. They had knobs. Like, turn the knob, it's unlocked. God said it's open door season from here on out. Right? So when I went to get my item, I wanted it. When I first got there, it was too soon to get it. I had to go take care of some other things. Those things concerned me basically finding myself, figuring out who I was in God. He gave me a list of things to do. This is in the natural, right? As well as in a dream, right? I didn't know, and speaking from the natural, I didn't know how the things he gave me to do were going to help me to become who he created me to be. The things he's given you to do are part of your development. They're part of your development. And you may be like, God, I should be doing this or that right now. But no, do what he told you to do because he is developing you in these things. And you may not be able to see it at the moment, but that's what he's doing. He's helping you find your identity, right? So after I got my identity and we worked on it a little bit, he didn't see me alone. I had a mountain of strength with me. I had a teacher. I had a guide with me, right? So in the third scene of the dream, he showed me it was going to be open door season, and I would continue to grow in my growth and development and finding who I am in God. I would continue to grow in that. All right. And then the next scene of the dream, I appear in the house, right? I'm just there. I'm not even, I'm just in there. And the house of the guy that I left my stuff in, right? And so I'm there to get my stuff. This guy is so grouchy. He is so grouchy. And I'm like, sorry, did I come too early? You want me to come back? Because he is so grouchy, that I came to get my stuff. And I'm like, did I come too early? And he's like, no, just get it. So he had an attitude, right? And I offered to come back and get it. And he was like, no, take it. Like, he knew I had to take it. He knew I couldn't leave it there with him. He knew it. And so when I offered to come back, he stopped me and he's like, no, you got to take it. Just take it. And so I'm like, okay. So I took my item and then I was about to leave. And when I was turning to leave, all I saw was the color yellow. Okay, you guys. So, oh God, this is the first time in my dream that I just saw a color, right? Just color. And when I retrieved my item from the man's house, I was walking into yellow. I was walking towards the color yellow. Okay. Okay, so what God showed me here, of course, I got my stuff back from the enemy in this part of the dream, but with the color yellow. So the day before I had this dream, I, like in the natural, I had dropped my daughter off at school that morning, and on the way home, I saw a yellow belly bird. I don't know if that's what you call it, but it was a bird with a yellow belly, and it was so beautiful. And I'd never seen one like that before. And so I'm driving through the neighborhood, I'm turning, and it's just sitting in the middle of the street. This is in real life, y'all. It's just sitting in the middle of the street, and I'm like, because it has a yellow belly, and it starts to slowly fly above my car. And I was like, oh my God, does it have a yellow belly? And it was a yellow belly bird. It had a yellow belly, and it was so beautiful. I'm not even into like birds like that necessarily, but it was so beautiful. I'd never seen one before like that. And I was like, oh my God, Dad. I'm talking to Daddy. I'm like, it's a yellow belly bird. And I was like, that is so beautiful. And it made my morning. But the way it was standing in front of my car when I turned, and the way how it flew away so lightly and slowly to where I could get a good look at it, it just, how something just hits you in the spirit, like God is trying to say something to you. So I saw that morning, and I was like, oh my God. I was just smiling. And then later that same day, So I had family in town, and y'all, I know I told y'all I'll make books. I still got to do a book video, right? So I'll make books, right? And I asked my uncle, I was like, Uncle, what's your favorite color? Because I wanted to make him his favorite color book. And he said, yellow. And so it stood out again because I just saw that yellow, belly bird early that morning. So second time that day, I said, yellow, huh? Because I didn't expect him to say yellow was his favorite color. He's like, yeah, yellow. I was like, okay. I took note, for me to make his book, but I'm taking note in the spirit too. Yellow. Then that same night, that's when I had this dream, right? And me walking into yellow, right? So I had to look up the color yellow. And when I looked it up, like in Dreams in the Natural, it talked about the sun and the sun producing a rich harvest. What stood out to me was the rich harvest, right? Because after all this, after you get your identity in God and find out, it's just you're obeying Him, obedience is so important and mandatory, okay? And so as you find your identity through God in a process, and when you go, it's going to be open door season after that, and you retrieve your stuff, you're going to be walking into a rich harvest. After I retrieved my item, I was walking into a rich harvest. That's what it said, just me looking up the color yellow, right, in dreams. Then I looked up the biblical meaning, and it said, glory of God. Oh my God, you guys. It said, glory of God. Y'all, on May the 6th, okay, I another video I did saying, I know God knows you're tired and you're going through a transition. If you listen to that video, and I was talking about what was on the other door was celebrating the victory and celebration, God gave me a dream on May the 6th where He let me go on the other side of that door, and I was just surrounded by His glory. It was the most amazing dream I ever had, and when I woke up, I felt it like nothing I ever experienced, and I was just like, oh my God. And so I'm mentioning that dream because once I got my stuff and I was walking into that yellow, that's what I sensed coming from the yellow. And when I looked it up, it said yellow. It means the glory of God, y'all. The glory of God. So anyways, y'all, that was the dream. I'm going to try not to keep y'all too long, but God wanted me to go ahead and share it. He said it's time to share this dream. The time is now. It's in season. He said things are about to escalate. Do you know who you are? You need to be ready for this. And if I'm going through the process right now, and I had to learn not to fight it. Like I said, when God was having me bring up old bad memories, I didn't want to think about them. I thought that was the enemy trying to make me sad, but it was really God trying to heal me and remove the lies that were told to me, through different people that they allowed the enemy to use them. Remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the enemy has been using a lot of people in your life to tell you things about yourself that aren't true, so you could believe what he wants you to believe about yourself, and God wants to remove those lies. So anyways, you guys, that was the dream. I hope it blessed somebody. I hope y'all excited like I'm excited. So these are the steps and process. You may have wanted your stuff a little bit early. God said you need to find out who you are in Him first, and following His instructions will help you to find that out. And once you begin to grasp and claim who you are, stop running from it. Who God created you to be, stop running from that. That's who you are, and you are that valuable, and you are that beautiful. That is who you are. Okay? Stop running from it. Once you walk into that and you claim that, it's going to be open, and you do everything He told you to do. Now, obedience brings the reward. It's going to be open door season. Like I said, He's letting some people through either way, but that some people have done enough. You still have more instructions, but you've done enough to satisfy the promise. Whereas some, they haven't done enough. And they got to do that work, because that work is going to further develop them. And it's going to set the stage for oh God, you're doing this for yourself. That this is going to help you. And you might not see it yet, but you got to start doing it, and you will see it with time. You got to trust God to know He wants only good things for you. Okay? So, but I'm going to go, y'all. So this is going to be super long, but things are about to escalate. God says, do you know who you are? Ask Him and He will show you. He will show you. He will show you. Okay, I'm about to go, y'all. I hope this blessed somebody. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be blessed. I have another dream I'm going to share soon. As soon as he tell me to. All right, y'all. Y'all be blessed. Okay, you guys, that was the dream, and these are some things that God caused to stand out to me. So I'm just going to add these extra things that God gave me. So something that God pointed out to me is that I actually did used to live across the street from Miss Diane, right? So the beginning of the dream, I'm standing in the middle of the street. On one side of it, I see my neighbor I know, because we used to live by each other, and Miss Diane on one side, and the enemy who I had to basically retrieve my stuff from, is on the opposite side of the street. God pointed out that in real life, me and her really did live across the street from each other growing up. I lived across the street from her diagonal. He also pointed out how he referred it as to how I used to live for the enemy, basically, okay? Because in this dream, she's a reflection of the divine. She's a reflection of God. The devil and God are opposites. They are enemies. And so he was referring to it as, once upon a time, I lived for the enemy. Once upon a time, I was in that house. There's no way I could have left anything behind in that house had I not been there, right? So he pointed out the only reason I was able to leave anything behind in that house to begin with, right? I had to retrieve what I left in the enemy's house. The only reason I was able to leave anything behind is because once upon a time, I visited there. I went in that house before, okay? And so that's what God brought up, okay? He referenced, you've been there before. And when I was there, I left some things behind. When I spent time at the enemy's house, at the enemy's camp, doing, all the things I want to do out in this world, I left some things behind. Some things were taken from me while the enemy had access to me. And I did not know this. I didn't understand this. A lot of us didn't know this, okay? Even though I was no longer in that place, right? In the dream, I'm starting out. I'm not even in that place no more. Even though I was no longer in that place, I still had to go back and get what I had left there, okay? So that's something that God shined light on for me. A lot of us, before we surrender to God, now we live for God, right? If you surrender to God, now you live for God. But once upon a time, you may have lived for the enemy. And it wasn't that you was necessarily trying to live for him, but basically your choices, that's basically it is what it is. That's what it was. So once upon a time, you lived that way. You lived there. You were there in the enemy's camp. When we open up the door to sin, it's giving him access to us, right? So what God was showing me is when I spent time doing those things that I had no business doing, right? All the things I thought would satisfy me, the things I thought in this world will fulfill me. When I spent time out there doing that, the enemy had access to me. And while he had access to me, he took some things from me without me knowing. The Bible references the devil being a thief. Multiple times he's a thief. So while I'm thinking I'm having fun, living life, he's stealing from me. He's stealing my life. He's destroying my life. He has so much access. He's finding different ways to destroy me, to take from me, things I didn't even know were mine. Jesus is Lord. This is for y'all as well. He was taking from you. He was taking your health. He was, Jesus is Lord. Some of y'all childhood was taken the same way. A lot of people are breaking generational curses, which I know y'all have heard as well. But when you give access to the enemy, when you give him access to your life, he is in a position to take from you. And it's all fun and games. And it seems like it's, you just having the time of your life and you have no idea that he is robbing you blind. Jesus is Lord. Because we really have no idea, until God opens our eyes to all the things that we couldn't see. Okay. So that was something that God caused to stand out. I've surrendered to God now, but I lived a lot of the years of my life playing in the enemy's camp. And while I was there, a lot of things were stolen from me and I needed to get it back because it was mine and I needed to get it back before I move forward. Okay. And once I realized that I had to get it back, it was like you leave something at somebody's house, is like the enemy hoped that we would never remember we left it there. He hoped that we would forget about it. But if you recall leaving something of value at somebody's house, you got to go get it, right? once you're made aware, you have to go get it. So that's what God was showing me. Okay, you guys. And that was that part of the dream he wanted me to add to. The next part of the dream he wanted me to add to is when we went up those escalators. I do remember seeing a scene where we were standing in front of the 3 escalators going up. And the next thing you know, it was like we were standing in front of them about to go back down when the dream shift, right? So here's the thing. I didn't say this on the video, but what I could recall, the place we went to looked like a mall, okay? When we went up those 3 escalators at the very top, I had a brief view of shopping stores, different clothing stores. I had that in my like, I remember seeing a shopping store. The place seemed like a mall, those large malls when you use the escalators to go up. And so I seen a couple of shopping stores, up there, and I'm like, it looked like a mall. And God later confirmed for me it was a mall, okay? And a mall is a place where people go shopping, where they go looking for things, all right? Where people go looking for things. Sometimes they find what they're looking for. Sometimes they don't, and they leave without nothing. What God brought to mind is, so we went to God, because yes, that place was looking like a shopping mall, but that when I tell y'all these escalators went so high, it was like they touched the sky. These escalators were the longest escalators I've ever seen in my life. So we were going up to God with questions. We were looking for something. Jesus is Lord. We had questions. We needed answers. God has been waking up a lot of people. He's been pouring out his spirit. People are having gifts and talents and waking up to things. They know things and they don't know how they know, or having visions. So we went up to God with questions and we needed answers. And we left with a bike. Jesus is Lord. We left with answers. Okay, we made a purchase. Jesus is Lord. We didn't leave with nothing. We left with a bike. Mind you, I didn't see who gave me the bike, but it came from God. That's what he gave me, the understanding to know that it came from him. So we made a purchase. We made an investment of some sort. Jesus is Lord. When we surrendered to God, we made an investment of some sort. And Jesus, let me see. Okay, you guys, I'm trying to read my notes and I done scribbled all on this paper. But he's basically saying when we surrendered to God, we made an investment and we left with our identity in hand. That's what the bike was a reflection of, our identity. It was in small form, okay? It was in seed form. It's as if we were being planted. God gave us what we could handle at that moment, okay? He didn't want to overwhelm us. Jesus is Lord. There's so much in this one part. So let me start out by saying this. Another reason I need to mention this was the mall. My dreams, God ties them in together a lot of times. He ties them in together like episodes. I have 2 other pregnancy dreams that he's been bringing up lately that I'm going to have to reshare. And when we're changing clothes, Lord have mercy. In one of these dreams, we go into a dressing room. It's in a shopping mall. It's in a shopping mall. I had 2 other dreams where we were in a shopping mall and God was doing something in us while we were there. We were changing clothes. All of this is connected, y'all. And I'm gonna post those dreams as well. And I hope y'all remember this when y'all listen to it. And I hope I don't sound confusing. But the way God pieced all this together for me like pieces of a puzzle, it was just amazing to me. So I just want to add that this is not the only dream that I had where God was doing something us in a place that resembled a shopping mall, okay, where we changed clothes, where we bought something, where we left with something. Another dream God brought up around this time, I had this dream back in 2022. Around this time, I also had a dream where I was being planted. So in this dream where I was being planted, the dream was so short. All I remember was I was standing on the ground barefooted. My feet were in the dirt and God was pouring dirt on my feet like he was planting me, like I myself was a seed. And I just looked down and he was pouring dirt on my feet. And I saw up until the point to where the dirt had got as high as my ankles. And he let me know he was planting me. Okay, Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord. And that's what he was doing around this time. He was pouring into me. He was removing a lot of the lies from me. He was establishing me. He was teaching me so much. Jesus is Lord. So, and this is not just for me, so that's why I'm sharing it. So that's something, that dream, God literally brought it to mind. So when we went to that mall, that place, we went to God with answers. Okay? We went to God with answers. I mean, not answers, Lord have mercy. We went to God with questions. We went to God with questions and we left with answers. He gave us a seed. He planted us. He planted something in us and gave us what we could handle at the time. Okay? He gave us what we could handle at the time. And the instructions that he's given us since then has been to help establish us, has been a part of us learning more. Okay? God gives us what we can handle. If he gives us too much too soon, it could be overwhelming. Okay? There's something else God brought up when we were going down those escalators on the way back down. Oh, Lord, I forgot one part. So to get back to where we were talking about, you guys, sorry about that. To get our identity from God, for God to plant that seed in us, we had to come up higher. Jesus is Lord, y'all. Y'all forgive me. We had to come up higher. We had to come up higher. Lord have mercy. We had to come up higher. That's something God brought up. When I was in this place where God was pouring into me and getting me in position, he literally took me up higher outwardly in my lifestyle. Around this time, he had us move. He told me to go to a place, write down everything I wanted in a place, like my dream apartment or whatever, right? And I wrote it down. And I'm like, I didn't know why, because I'm like, that's not something I can afford right now, whatever. And God said he didn't ask me what I could afford. He just told me to write it down. And so I did that. And after I wrote it down, then he told me, now go look for that. Look for that kind of apartment. Exactly. Don't look at nothing that is not on your list. And I'm like, really? And so I went out and I looked online and I looked for something that had to have everything on my list. And I wrote down that I wanted it new. And I literally found a place that had everything on my list. I didn't qualify for it. And God told me to go check it out. And I didn't want to go because I knew I was going to love it. And I didn't want to be disappointed if I couldn't get it. But I just went ahead and went out of obedience. And everything happened the way I envisioned it. And we got it. We got the place, right? This place was, okay, so I said I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go because I didn't meet the requirements, okay? I'm just going back here just in case somebody needed to hear this. I didn't want to go look because we didn't meet the requirements on paper. But God told me to go anyways. And while he was telling me to go anyways, I literally had a vision. I had a vision that I would go there and I would hit it off with the manager and we would get the place. I literally had that vision. And literally when I went there, even though I was scared to go because I didn't want rejection, I didn't want a denial, when I went there, that's exactly what happened. I hit it off with the manager. I told him, hey, we don't meet the requirements. He looked me in my eyes and he said, welcome home. And I was just like blown away. I was blown away. The situation, it literally went just like my vision, the vision I had while God was telling me to go anyways. And so long story short, you guys, when God was developing me and showing me who I was in him and separating me from people who were lying to me about my identity, who were causing so much confusion with me about my self-worth and value, he took me to a high place. Jesus is Lord. This was the nicest place we ever lived in. And I felt like it was, I hate to say this, like too nice for us because that's how the people around me made me feel. It was nicer than their homes. It was nice. They never stayed anywhere that nice. And so I had people who were bothered, who are supposed to love me and be happy for me, but were bothered that we lived somewhere so nice. And they played happy while we were there. Because they saw God doing things for us. They saw it. So they're like, oh, that's nice. That's all they could really say. But deep down inside, that heart, you know what I mean, was triggered. And so God took us to a high place. a place that we would value, okay? I saw value in that place because I never stayed nowhere that nice before. And I'm like, oh, this is like too nice. People gonna be mad. Like, but I saw value in that nice place. And God saw value in me. Jesus is Lord. Some of us value money and things so much. We think the value is found in the cars and the money and the clothes. And God is like, it's all you, boo. It's like literally, it is all you. You know, the house is nice, the car, all that. But God is, you're the most valuable thing out of all of this. Period. And sometimes God has to remove the things that we think are valuable so we can understand it was never about those things to begin with. Those money, homes, vehicles, that's not what's valuable about you. Okay? Some people feel like if they don't have these things, then, they're less than, or they're not enough because they don't have this and so has that. And they're in this position. You are still top tier. You walk in this earth with breath in your body. You are still top tier. You are more valuable than the most expensive vehicle somebody driving, than the biggest mansion that somebody owns on earth. You possess more value in every breath that you breathe. You are the most valuable thing to God. And so he was showing me that he took a lot of us to a high place to show us what we were worth. Because we see value in things, he allowed us to have some nice things that we think are valuable. And in a sense, kind of caused us to have a mindset change. You may have done some things like you wrote a book. And you always want the right one, but you were scared to do it. And oh my God, you're holding your book in your hands for the first time. There's a seed God planted in you, and he had you go and shoot for it. God bless you. My daughter sneezed. He had you go and shoot for that seed. And you did it. And you were scared to do it, but you did it out of obedience. And to you, this is just like amazing. But God is like, this is already in you. You deserve these types of things. This is already in you. This is the kind of life you're supposed to be living. You are my child. And the value is found in you. So anyways, you guys, God, I just had to share that because God literally showed me he took some of us up high to a high place to give us this seed, to plant this seed of our identity in us. He had to do it in that high place. And that's the way he could get us to receive it. Being able to do things you're not used to doing, living the way you're not used to living, makes you feel different. See things a little differently. Hey, I do want a life like this. I have all these dreams. I do want to pursue them. I have all these gifts and talents. I should be using them. Why am I holding back so much? Because everybody else told me to, or because it makes everybody else uncomfortable? Or they don't think I can do it? Why not you? Jesus is Lord. Why not you? So God needed to take you to that high place to show you, to plant something in you that he would develop and continue to grow. A lot of us were being planted. Jesus is Lord. And he gave us what we could handle. He just planted the seed, Lord. And I'm saying that because a lot of y'all are about to be in a position to where he's going to transition you to where you can build what he has planted. Because he's been developing you along the way. He's been adding to that soil. My God, y'all. Jesus is Lord. He's been doing the work. If you know, you already know. I'm going to continue, you guys, because I'm going on way too long on this one part. But yes, he said he had to take us to a high place so he could plant that seed, okay? And separate us from some people and expose some people to us at the same time, all right? So fast forward. When we were waiting in front of those escalators to head back down, when it was time to go, right? I was waiting for someone to give me a chance or a turn to go back down that escalator. 3 of the escalators went up. Only 1 went down. Okay. The middle escalator went up and down. It went up and down. The only thing about that escalator is when somebody stepped on it, whoever stepped on it first, that's the direction it was going. So say somebody was coming up, the moment they stepped on it, the escalator would come up. And say someone was trying to go down, the moment they stepped on it, it would go down. So here's the thing. When I was standing in front of these escalators waiting to go down, somebody kept coming on it first. Like as soon as I was going to go down, somebody got on there first. And here's the thing. The 3 people that got on there before me, they were all plus size. And I'm plus size. And I'm like, I don't know how we all going to fit on this thing. But, and so they were taking up space. Like, they were taking up space, basically. And I'm plus size, too. So I ain't, knocking nobody. So they was taking up space. And it was no way we could both fit on there. And I was waiting my turn. I was literally waiting my turn to get on there. And even though I waited for the first person, I'm thinking, okay, it's my turn now. Another person come, and I was there first. And so I was waiting for someone. Jesus is Lord. I was waiting for someone to let me in, to let me through, to give me a chance or give me a turn. And how God showed me this is, what God was basically showing me, I'm going to read from my notes and then just expand on that. When it was time to leave, you had to take your position, okay? When it was time to go, I had to take my position. Nobody was going to make room for me. Nobody was going to give me permission to do it, okay? Lord have mercy. You have to make room yourself. You had to take up space. They was taking up space. I had to go ahead and take my space up because they weren't going to wait for me to do it. No one could make me and no one could stop me, okay? That's what I said. So after waiting for someone to, be considerate enough to let me have a turn, right? And they just kept coming. It reminded me of traffic. Say you put your signal on to get over, and cars just keep passing by, and they won't leave any open space for you. They just keep going, and you literally got to cut somebody off because your turn is coming up, and you didn't want to cut nobody off, but everybody was ignoring your signal to get over. That's what this reminded me of. I had to just take my position, and the way I did it, I ended up cutting somebody off. But I had been there waiting for a long time. And I was waiting on someone to give me permission to take my position, and nobody would. And the way I did it came across a little rude. Okay, so here we go. God had planted me. He had given me an assignment. I was waiting on someone to give me permission to do the assignment he gave me. I was literally waiting on people to give me permission to do it. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, these prophetic words, when God... And one day when it's time, I will share the full testimony on all of that. But when God was calling me to do this, I didn't just start making these videos because I felt like doing it or because I feel like God wants me to do it. Yes, I felt like he wanted me to do it. But on top of that, I had several dreams. He told me several times. He literally whispered in my ear one morning, help my people, help my people. Jesus is Lord. And he's showing me things, showing me his people need help. He's showing it to me. He's giving me the burden. It's on my heart every day. It got to the point that I couldn't even function. I couldn't even focus on nothing else. I had so many messages going on. God was giving me so many words. I'm walking around the house talking out loud. I have so much he's pouring into me. And I wasn't pouring it out. I was just holding it all in. I was in school. And I got homework to do, and I can't even focus on my homework because I got all these words, all these dreams, everything he's showing me, and it's just all inside, bottled up. And I feel like I'm about to explode, like it's all I could think about. And one day I had homework. One weekend I was supposed to be working on my homework. I couldn't focus on my homework. And I said, okay, Daddy, okay, I'm going to do it. I said, can you please, like, let me do my homework. Let me do my homework today, and I promise I'm going to do it after that. Because I couldn't even focus on my homework. And then he let it cool down a little bit. I did my homework, and then I'm like, okay, now I gotta figure out how to get in front of a camera and talk without stuttering and my voice shaking. and that was that. So, but when he was calling me to do it, I talked to different people on the phone first. And I wanted them to tell me that God showed them something about me. I wanted them to confirm what God had already been telling me. And nobody would confirm it. Nobody would give me permission to do what he had told me to do. They didn't know what he was telling me. He didn't show them. He showed me. So, and I was kind of talking about it while talking around it because I didn't want them to think I was crazy, right? And when God shows you things and he don't show other people, you can come across crazy if they haven't seen what you've seen, if he hasn't given them the same information that he's given you. So I was waiting for someone to give me permission to do this. And God said, you just got to take your position. You just got to take your identity. You just got to get in position. Stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay. And someone may tell you it's not okay. It don't matter what they think. They are not your creator. They are not your purpose giver. They didn't create you. They cannot tell you what you're supposed to be doing here on this earth. Jesus is Lord. So God was saying on this part, you have to take up space, and you can't wait around for somebody else to give you permission to. No one can make you, and no one can stop you. That was something he had me write down. And then when I took my position, I mentioned that I came across a little rude because I had to cut some people off. Jesus is Lord. Oh my God, y'all. God is so amazing. I literally had to cut some people off to get in position because they weren't going to give me a turn to get on that escalator. But look, I for real had to cut some people off. I had to stop talking to a lot of people. And it came across a little rude. Oh, she don't want to talk on the phone no more. Oh, she don't want to do this no more. It came across a little rude. God has separated y'all from certain people. He shifted your burden. Now, the seed he planted in you, that's something you have a burden to do now. You don't have time to be on the phone talking about the same old things. Your interests have changed. Your desires, your passions have changed. My Jesus is Lord, y'all. Okay. Ooh, so you may come off a little rude to some people when you take your position, when you do what you got to do. And they may be offended. But you know what? The same people who I offended when I took my position, they have been offending me many times prior before then. I just let them slide. So I'm like, hey, they offended, but I have been offended many times by them too. But anyways, that was neither here nor there. I'm going to have to take my position, and those who love me will still love me and understand. And you know, and whoever don't, prayerfully, they can get clarity from God. Okay. And so something else God showed me, the next part, Aaron, the guy who helped me carry the bike, God was saying how the bike was our identity, right? It's your mantle. Jesus is Lord. Your mantle that God has given you, you don't have to carry it alone. All right. He's sending you with a teacher and a guide. So, and I know I mentioned this already, but God was leading me to expand on it just in case somebody needed me to. What God is giving you to do, the work God is giving you to do, it can seem too big for you sometimes, right? Especially if you're always focusing on your flaws, what you don't have, what you do have. And the enemy the enemy loves to bring up your flaws. He loves to bring up the times you drop the ball. He loves to make you feel like you're inadequate because he wants to talk you out of it because he can't stop you. Jesus is Lord. He can deceive you. He'll do his best to deceive you to make you think you're not fit for it. But then that means that God don't know what he's talking about. And God knows it all. He knows what he created you to be able to do. So the devil is a liar. So anyways, God was basically saying for those who feel like it's overwhelming for you to carry, he's saying you don't have to carry this by yourself. He is sending you with a teacher, with a guide. Something he told me, like when he wanted me to do this, and one of the dreams he gave me, I'm like, I hear you, Dad. I want to say yes, but I don't know how to do this. How do I just get on here and start talking? And he told me everything I need is already in me. Everything that I needed to do this job, what I'm doing right now, everything that I needed to make these videos, he already put it in me. He's not expecting me to do something that he did not already put in me to be able to produce. It was already put in me to do this. Okay? Whatever he's calling you to do, he's already given. It's already in you. Just start doing it and it's going to come out. God, he told me, he said, just start receiving my people. He said, just start doing it and everything I put in you will start coming out. He said, everything I put in you has been waiting. It's been waiting for you to give it permission to come out. Jesus is Lord. And that's how it is for some of y'all. Everything God has put in y'all has been waiting, just waiting for you to give it permission to be released, to come out. Okay? God is calling so many of y'all out of hiding. So he wants you to stop overthinking everything. Stop trying to figure out how everything's going to work. And stop trying to do everything by yourself. You are not alone. You have help. And he wants you to just do what he told you to do. and know that he's there with you. Each step of the way, he is literally there with you. Just start walking in it. You have help. You have a teacher. You're not alone. You have a guide. Even when I thought I was carrying that bike by myself, I was struggling. I'm on an escalator carrying a big old bike, and I was struggling, and it was starting to fall on my foot a little bit. And when I turned back, the guy, Aaron, was holding the back part of it for me. I thought it was heavy already, and I thought I was carrying it by myself, but I was never carrying it by myself. He was holding the tail end of it, and he just said, let me just hold it all together. He wanted to hold the whole thing, and the Holy Spirit had to tell me to let him help me. It was no way I could carry that mantle, that bike by myself. And God didn't intend for us to carry these things, our destiny, our bikes, y'all, our purpose by ourselves. Because then that would say that we don't need God's help. And without him, we can do nothing. Okay? That's something else he brought up, to stop pushing away his help. Because in a sense, too, that's kind of like, I'm trying to find a word. I don't want to say like an insult, but in a sense, it's kind of saying that we're going to do this without him. And we don't. We partner with God, and he gets the glory through us. So we need his help, and we're supposed to need his help, and he's supposed to help us get this stuff done, because he's going to get the glory from it. Because what our testimony will be was we couldn't have done it without God. Without him, we can do nothing. We couldn't have gotten this far without God. We couldn't have built this without God. We couldn't have produced this without God. We couldn't have kept going and gotten back up every time we were knocked down without God. It's going to have his name written all over it. All right. Something God pointed out, a lot of people are not used to help in your life. You have not been used to being able to depend on people. He said that was your life then. A lot of people are transitioning. He says this is your new life now. God wants us to trust him and allow him to be our help. And that's why a lot of times he allows us to be in certain positions. I'm just going to keep reading this, okay? And then I'll go expand from there. So he wants us to give up the weight of carrying everything on our shoulders. The bills, how am I going to pay this? The fear, because you lost some things and you're scared of losing more, just living in fear. He said it's like dying to yourself. All right, dying to yourself, trying to figure everything out. He wants us to come to him as little children, depending on him, trusting him, okay? The old you has to die first for you to truly recognize and know that God is in control. Okay? I'm reading my notes again, y'all. He mentioned giving up the burden of carrying a bike myself made everything easier, okay? When I gave up the burden of carrying that bike by myself, trying to carry it by myself, even though I couldn't carry it myself. When I gave up that burden, the trip was so much easier. Oh my God, because the front wheel was resting on my ankles, scratching up my ankles. The trip was so much easier when I just released the burden of carrying that bike by myself. My identity, the mantle. When I released that burden to God and allowed him to help me and to carry that for me, all I had to do was obey. Easiest thing in the world. It sounds like the easiest thing, right? Well, God be telling us to face some fears. Jesus is Lord. But it's simple. All I literally had to do was obey, and he was going to carry that thing for me. Walk in the direction he told me to walk in. He got it. He can carry the heavy stuff. All he needs us to do is obey and do what he told us to do. Okay? And he's carrying our burdens. The loads that are too big for us to carry. Jesus is Lord. Okay, y'all. Oh, before I forget, coming down the escalator. God just wanted me to mention, because he showed me this in the natural in a lot of our lives. So God took a lot of us up to a high place, and then we had to experience a coming down. We went up to that high place to get that seed sown in us, right? So he could start showing us our identity in him. We had to go up higher to receive it. So he allowed a lot of us to go up to a high place, and then a lot of us had to come down. And it was like where you could have lost some things. You could be going through the purification process. You could have been mocked. It looked like you were losing, But you left from that high place with your identity in hand. That bike, you holding on to that bike for dear life. Jesus is Lord. Ooh. Oh my God, y'all, I'm going to continue. But God is like pouring out so much revelation. Holding on to that bike for dear life. Some of y'all been in that temporary hard place, trying to hold on to your identity for dear life because everything around you is testing you and pulling you and trying to convince you that it was all a dream, but it was not. Jesus is Lord. It was not. That experience you had with God is real. The purpose he's given you and the things he's spoken over you and shown you is all real. So it was like I was trying to hold on to that bike for dear life. My God. Okay, you guys. So he just wanted me to mention that you did have to come back down because I still had to go retrieve my stuff. And this was a part of the journey. Okay, so the next scene of the dream, I no longer have a bike. I got a car. I got a big old vehicle. I got a car now. So my identity grew. It started out as a seed, but as I continued to obey God and walk in the direction he told me to walk in, it grew. It continued to grow, okay? It grew from a bike to a car. Something God pointed out is when I got to the guy's Aaron's house, when I got to his house, I didn't go inside. He said it wouldn't take long. He said it wouldn't take long because that place where my vehicle changed from a bike to a car, where you were growing in purpose and finding out more about your identity, more about your purpose, and developing more in the hands of God. That the place you were in, that uncomfortable place or whatever, that was a temporary place where we wouldn't be there for long. Okay. That was a place where God will continue to grow and mature you. And you need to be in that place. We were in a garage, and his garage was like a workstation. Like he had all these tools, like he worked on cars or something. And that was a place where God was further developing us to help us grow and mature in him, okay? Jesus is Lord, y'all. And then something God showed me as well. While we were getting work done to our vehicle, we were not allowed to go back inside. We were not allowed to hide, basically. So while some of us have been in those hard places, God has still been expecting us to produce, to keep working on what he's shown you, whatever work you started doing, to continue. For example, what I'm doing right here, even when he took me to my hard place, he still expected me to make these videos. And I was surprised. I said, you want me to keep doing this here? I'm like, you know how uncomfortable I am? And he still expected me to pour into other people. Meanwhile, I'm struggling. I'm going through some stuff. I'm, facing some, man, I was in a situation I do not like and I'm uncomfortable in. And God is still like, share this with my people, encourage my people. They hurt. And I'm like, God, I'm hurting. I'm saying this because somebody needs to hear this, y'all. Jesus is Lord. Somebody needs to hear this. And so many times he's told me to help and you will be helped. Whatever position he has you in, just do your part. God is going to take care of you. He's going to take care of you. But while we were in that place of getting work done, I wasn't allowed to go back inside. I wasn't allowed to go in that guy's house and hide out. God said, you outside now. You're not allowed to go back inside, for whoever that's for. Once he pulls you out of hiding, you're not allowed to go back into hiding, okay? That temporary place reflected a place to recover and work. And some of y'all are going to a different place that's going to be more comfortable, where you'll be able to recover, rebuild, and heal, okay? And I'm going to leave that there because I don't feel God leading me to talk about that more on this message, but more so on another message. I just mentioned it here and there because God has been talking about it a lot. Okay, you guys. Okay, that was everything I wrote down, and I did not mean to talk this long. Y'all forgive me. I'm gonna have to let y'all go in a minute because this video gonna be so long. Something else I want to mention. So I didn't really have any additional notes for the end part of this dream, where it transitions and we go back and get our stuff from the enemy, basically. I shared about everything from that already. which is just beautiful and amazing, you guys. But something I just wanted to share, how I know that part is in season for some people now, and you have to take this to God, and I pray He's just showing you whatever place you're in and giving you the understanding and clarity you need right now. Y'all, it's some big things coming. It's so many big things coming. I'm just so excited, and I look forward to like seeing y'all testimonies and just Jesus is Lord. I'm just so excited. I had this dream the other day. God related it to this dream that I'm resharing right now. I literally had this dream like a couple of days ago where, oh my God, Jesus is Lord. I almost forgot. I was standing in a garage, just like in this dream where our cars were being worked on in this garage. I was standing in this garage and a robber came in he had a mask on and everything, and he was trying to rob me. He had a gun pointed at me and he said, "Give me all your money." And I said, "I ain't got no money." I'm sorry, y'all. I told him, I said, "But I ain't got no money." And so I'm checking my pockets. I ain't got no money to give this man. And he looking at me, he looking me over. And it's like he looked me over for a minute and he came to the conclusion, she really ain't got no money. And so this what he did, y'all. This man, after looking me over, or whatever, he felt compelled. Oh, Jesus is Lord. This man looked me over, and after looking me over and really seeing that I wasn't lying, I ain't had no money to give him. I had my cell phone. That's all I had, y'all. And my cell phone was sitting on top of the car hood. And I said, "Oh, snap, I got a cell phone. I don't want him to take my cell phone." These are like my side thoughts. But while he was looking me over, he felt compelled to give me money. Jesus is Lord. Did y'all hear that? This man came in the garage. I'm standing in the garage. Okay. I'm standing in the garage. These are one of those connecting dreams. These dreams connect. My car was getting worked on in the garage in the dream we were talking about. Then here I am standing in the garage next to my car, the dream I had the other day. And a robber comes in. Jesus is Lord. A robber comes in with a mask on, holding me at gunpoint, telling me to give him all my money. And I say, I don't have no money. I didn't have nothing to give him. And after looking me over and seeing I was telling him the truth, ooh, Jesus is Lord. The truth shall set you free. Okay. I was telling him the truth. He saw I was telling him the truth. He felt compelled to give me some money. And he said, "That's a shame." I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I told y'all I'm goofy. This man say that's a shame. And he felt compelled to give me money. So the robber who came in to rob me couldn't take anything else from me because it was already gone. And so instead, he reached in his pocket and he pulled out a bunch of money and he put it to he tried. Yeah, I sometimes put money in my bra. I know I shouldn't do that, but sometimes I do. And so he knew where I kept it. So he tried to put it there and I took it from him. It was a bunch of wad of bills. And so I just went ahead and I said, "Okay, I got it." I took it from him and put it in there. And so it wasn't in no type of, sexual way or nothing. It was just he knew that's where I kept it. So anyways, the robber came in to rob me, and instead he ended up giving me money instead. So you can't tell me that it is not time for us to take back what was stolen. Jesus is Lord. Oh my God. And this is related to this dream because we were in a garage. All right. Car was getting worked on. Next thing you know, thief came through. And instead of taking something from me, he had to give me something back. Okay. And then right after that, I went inside and I saw a bunch of people at the table. I saw a bunch of people sitting at the table. And I let them know, this guy just tried to rob me, but he ended up giving me money instead. And this part made me think about how God is preparing a table for us. Jesus is Lord. Next thing you know, I go inside. This is big, long table people are sitting at. I sit down at the table too. And I pull out the money that the robber just gave me. And it's more money than I thought it was. I thought it was like a few dollar bills. It was larger bills. Sorry, y'all, my alarm went off. But it was larger bills in there. It was larger bills in there than I expected. More bills than I saw before. And then on top of that, it was foreign currency. Jesus is Lord. That man gave me money. Some of it was foreign. Some of it came from a different country. I said, how much is this worth? Because the bills, some of the bills came from a different country. So he had gave me a bunch of money, and some of it was US, most of it was US dollars. And then some of them was foreign currency. I didn't even know the value of them. I was like, okay. And then next thing you know, God is like, put that up. Because when I pulled it out, it was more than I thought it was. And I'm sitting at a table with people. And I had the knowing to put it away immediately because they didn't need to know how much it was, because it was way more than I thought it was at first. So that's for somebody as well, as God is telling y'all to move in silence as he blesses y'all with more than you are expecting. The thief that stole from me was now having to give back, right? This person was a thief. I don't know if he robbed me in any other dream, but the fact that he represented a thief who came to try to rob me again, period, had to give back. He had to give me what was in his pockets. Okay? Okay, you guys. But that was basically it. It's the open door season ahead for a lot of people. People are in different places and seasons of their life in this dream. Make sure you take this word back to God in prayer and see what season you are in. A lot of people who've been in this journey for a while, though, y'all are transitioning out. Y'all are at that part where y'all about to face that open door season. You're about to experience a mighty harvest. Glory to God, y'all. I love y'all so much. I'm going to let y'all go. I'm so excited and I'm just talking a lot. But I love y'all so much. And I really pray this bless whoever it's for. And I pray I said everything God wanted me to say. All right. I love y'all. And y'all be blessed.